way before Tears for Fears, made up of Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith, would record their first song way back in 1970, American psychologist Arthur Yanov published a book that would change the world and the way that we think about mental health, The Primal Scream. The concept was that adults carry with them the baggage from unresolved childhood experiences. It was eye-opening for a lot of people. Famously, John Lennon and Yoko Ono underwent several months of therapy sessions with Yanov prior to writing their album, John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band. A little over a decade later, Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith would also be heavily influenced by The Primal Scream. In fact, they would take their name from a theory about children's nightmares from the book, Tears for Fears. And every song they ever wrote carried those heavy connotations and ideas about coming to terms with emotion and unresolved trauma. Let's consider their three biggest hits off the album. Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It's a bleak reflection of life in the 1980s. Peak narcissism in the yuppie era. It's all for freedom and for pleasure. Shout, shout, let it all out. I don't think I need to explain the Primal Scream references in this one. Although Orzabal did state that although the themes did remain prevalent in this song, he was actually more referring to political protests in Shout. Then there's Head Over Heels, the closest thing to a love song that Tears for Fears gets. And even here they managed to sneak in as many references as possible. In My Mind's Eye, One Little Boy, One Little Man. Funny how time flies. Well, one of the unfortunate consequences of having killer music and wailing guitar solos is that your fans might miss the beautiful, deep lyrics. And that's exactly what happened. The album was massive. Tears for Fears became worldwide celebrities, with all three of those songs I just mentioned topping the charts in countries around the world. But the serious themes were lost on a lot of their audience. But there's not a lot to complain about for Tears for Fears. They had one of the biggest albums of 1985 and continue to be considered one of the most iconic artists of that decade.